Welcome. To those who already know quietly, deeply, that something isn't right about the way someone has been treating you. You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. Truth has a way of finding the people who need it most. Here is what nobody tells you. The moment someone decides to target you, to twist your name, manipulate your image, or construct a version of you that doesn't exist, they have already activated a mechanism they cannot stop. Not a plan, not a campaign, a mechanism. One they built with their own hands, running entirely on the fuel of their own obsession. Research has confirmed what ancient wisdom already knew. The human mind is extraordinarily sensitive to patterns of deception. Within moments of sustained exposure, observers begin registering inconsistencies, emotional mismatches, and the telltale signs of a narrative being engineered rather than lived. That means every single move your aggressor makes, every word they plant, every story they spin, every audience they try to poison against you, is being processed and quietly judged by the very people they are trying to convince. They are not winning, they are performing, and performances eventually end. What you are about to understand will change the way you carry yourself through this. By the end, you will see not just why their efforts are failing, but why that failure is inevitable, already in motion, and requires nothing from you to complete itself. You don't have to do anything to make this happen. You just have to understand what is already happening and stand still while it does. Stay with me. Before we go further, I want to say something directly to your heart. This space exists because someone believed that the truth about manipulation, about resilience, about the quiet power inside people who refuse to be broken, deserves to be spoken out loud. Every word in this video was written not to fill time, but to reach someone who needed to hear it. Someone exactly like you. If this channel has ever helped you breathe a little easier, think more clearly, or feel less alone in something you are going through, you can extend that reach. There is a link in the description and one pinned in the comments where you can offer a small gift to keep this mission moving. A coffee, a contribution, any amount you feel called to give. What I want you to know, every seed you plant in this work grows into something that shines in someone else's darkness. You are not funding content. You are becoming part of something larger. A quiet movement of people who believe that understanding your own mind is the most powerful thing you can do. And what you give returns to you. That is not poetry. That is the law of generous living. Whatever you sow in kindness, you will find again multiplied in ways you didn't expect. Now, let's talk about what is really happening to the person who has been targeting you. Here is the central truth. This video is built on. There is a war being waged, but it is not between you and them. It never was. The real war is between them and reality wins. Every time, without exception, without mercy, without any help from you. They chose to make you the center of their psychological universe. They chose to invest their time, their energy, their social capital into constructing a version of events that keeps you small and them in control. That choice, that single defining choice, is the wound that is silently bleeding them out. What follows are 14 truths about exactly how and exactly why. Every lie requires maintenance. Every fabricated story requires memory. Every manufactured version of events requires constant surveillance of who knows what, of what they have already said, of which details contradict which others. This is not a metaphor. This is the literal neurological cost of sustaining a false reality. Over time, that sustained load produces what psychologists call cognitive overload. a state where the mind can no longer hold all the threads of a constructed narrative together without visible strain, and that strain is showing. The stories that don't quite line up the same way twice, the overreactions when someone asks an innocent question, the sudden aggression when a conversation gets too close to the edge of what they have been protecting. These are not personality quirks. These are symptoms of someone whose invented world is fighting against the gravity of what is actually true. Think about what they have had to maintain. A version of you that justifies their behavior. A social narrative convincing enough that others believe it. And now they have to live inside that construction. Every day, every interaction. That is not a life. That is a prison with very thin walls. Meanwhile, you carry nothing. The truth requires no maintenance. It simply exists, and you carry it effortlessly, the way a stone carries its own weight. That asymmetry, their exhaustion against your steadiness, is already visible to the people around you both. Their collapse is not a future event. It is a current process, and it is accelerating. Picture someone in a shared social space, a workplace, a family circle, a group of mutual friends, quietly working in the background to undermine your reputation. They think they are being subtle. They think the small seeds of doubt they are planting are invisible. But here is what happens when you run a covert operation against another person in any shared environment. People notice the operator before they notice the operation. Social psychologists call this the boomerang effect of reputation manipulation. When someone campaigns too hard against another person, observers unconsciously shift their skepticism toward the campaigner. The question stops being, "Is this person bad?" and becomes, "Why does this person care so much?" And once that question gets asked, even silently, even privately, while someone's driving home from a dinner, it cannot be unasked. Every whisper they share, every story they tell, every subtle jab inserted into conversation, all of it is now compiling into a case file, not against you, but against them. An involuntary autobiography of someone consumed by fixation. And the audience is reading it, quietly without telling them. You don't need to correct the record. The record is correcting itself. There is a psychological phenomenon, so reliable it has its own name: projection. It describes the unconscious process by which a person attributes to others the qualities and intentions they cannot face in themselves. And it operates with devastating precision, because the accusations people make when projecting are almost always exact descriptions of what they themselves are doing. When someone tells others you are manipulative, look at the mechanism they are using to spread that message. When someone says you are obsessive, observe where their attention is focused, day after day. When someone paints you as the unstable one, watch how steady their own behavior has been. The content of their accusations is not random. It is autobiographical. And the people around them are beginning to notice the gap between the story they are telling and the life they are actually living. Their lies are not just failing to stick to you, they are sticking to them. Every exaggerated accusation becomes a data point. Every manufactured outrage becomes a pattern. Over time, the portrait that emerges is vivid and clear, not of you, of them. You don't have to defend yourself against accusations made from projection. Reality is already doing it for you. Here is something most people in your position don't realize, because they are too close to the situation to see the full picture. The people around you, mutual friends, colleagues, family members, are not neutral. They have not suspended judgment indefinitely. They already have an opinion. It was formed quietly, gradually, through accumulated observation, through moments that didn't quite add up, through the gut-level discomfort of being asked to participate in someone else's agenda. What hasn't happened yet is that they have spoken it out loud. In a culture where maintaining social harmony is often valued over honest confrontation, people carry private conclusions for months before expressing them. They smile at gatherings. They respond politely to messages, but they are watching. They are cataloging. They are remembering the moments when the story didn't match the behavior, when the emotion was disproportionate, when the energy of a conversation felt engineered rather than genuine. The silence of the people around you is not neutrality. It is observation. And when the time comes, when someone finally asks directly, what emerges will not be a verdict that needs to be argued. It will be a verdict that has been held in private for a very long time, waiting for permission to be spoken. You don't need to campaign. The jury has already deliberated. Identity is not fixed. It is constructed, moment to moment. Through the choices a person makes about where they invest their attention and emotional energy. And here is the devastating consequence of making another person the center of your psychological universe. You become defined by that choice. When someone dedicates sustained energy to monitoring you, talking about you, crafting narratives about you, the people in their world begin to see them through that lens, not as a person with rich, independent interests and a life of their own, but as someone whose primary ongoing project is their relationship to you. This is identity erosion in real time, and the person experiencing it rarely sees it happening. The people closest to them are quietly doing the math. How much time has been spent on this, at the cost of what? Of deepening their actual relationships, of building a life they are proud of. The numbers don't add up to someone who is thriving. They add up to someone who is haunted. Meanwhile, you are out here, living, growing, present to your own existence. The contrast is not subtle, and it is not going unnoticed. We live in a culture that equates response with strength. If someone attacks you, the trained instinct reinforced by social media and public discourse is to fight back, to correct the record, to make your side loud enough to drown theirs out. That instinct is exactly what they are counting on. Because when you respond, when you argue, explain yourself, or engage with the details of what they have said, you do something that serves them completely. You validate that the fight exists. You enter the arena they have constructed and play by their rules. But when you don't, when you simply continue living your life with the quiet dignity of someone who has nothing to prove, a one-sided fight, sustained long enough, stops looking like justice and starts looking like obsession. The person still swinging at someone who isn't fighting back stops looking powerful. They start looking unwell. Your silence is not passivity. It is strategy, not because it denies them a reaction, but because it allows reality to do what silence always allows it to do: be seen clearly, without noise. Every day you invest in your own life instead of the theater they have constructed. You demonstrate something no argument could prove: that this situation does not define you. You are bigger than what has been done to you. And that is the most devastating thing you can communicate. Not with a speech, with a life. I want to slow down for a moment and say something that might surprise you. In the middle of everything that has happened, the words said behind your back, the stories shared without your knowledge, the attempts to shape how others see you, something has been quietly growing on your behalf. Not because you asked for it, but because of a fundamental truth about how human beings respond to watching someone be treated unfairly. People root for the person who is being targeted, almost without exception. There is a deep reason for this. Our social survival has always depended on our ability to recognize scapegoating, and we recognize it instinctively, even when we cannot name it. When we do, something in us aligns with the person being targeted. Every time someone went too far, pushed too hard, or made too clear how personal their investment in your diminishment really is. They generated sympathy that flows in one direction, yours. You have allies you haven't met yet. Quiet ones. People who have been watching and deciding privately on your behalf that what is being done isn't right. They haven't spoken yet, but they are there, and they are waiting. We are at the midpoint of this journey together, and I want to pause for just a moment, not to interrupt, but to invite. Everything shared here comes from a deep conviction that the people who struggle most quietly deserve the loudest support. If these words have found you at a moment when you needed them, if something in the first half of this video loosened a weight you have been carrying, then you already understand what this space is about. There is a link in the description and one pinned in the comments where you can contribute to keeping this work alive. A coffee, a small gift, whatever you feel moved to offer. When you give to this mission, you are not just clicking a button and walking away. You are becoming the reason someone else. Someone sitting right now where you were sitting 6 months ago will find the words they need at the exact moment they need them. You are the reason they will not feel alone. What you give returns to you, not always in the form you expect. Sometimes as clarity, sometimes as an unexpected connection, sometimes as an opportunity that appears when you least anticipated it. But the law of generous living is not a suggestion. It is a principle, and every act of giving you perform in alignment with something you believe in carries a particular kind of power. Now, let's finish what we started. Credibility is built slowly and lost quickly. That asymmetry is one of the fundamental rules of social trust, and it is working against them right now in ways they haven't fully calculated. Every claim they have made about you required that the listener believe them. At first, that belief came easily. We tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, but credibility functions like a bank account. Each claim is a withdrawal. And when the returns on those claims, the actual observable evidence, the reality that shows up against their narrative, don't match, the account gets overdrawn. The people in their world have now been receiving claims about you for however long this has been going on. In that same window, they have had their own observations with you or with the broader situation that either confirm or contradict what they have been told. Every time reality contradicts a confident claim, a small piece of trust transfers away from the person who made it. Quietly, without announcement. Like water finding its level, multiply that process by every person in the shared social space. By every conversation that didn't quite add up. By every prediction about your behavior that failed to materialize. Their credibility is not what it was 6 months ago. You don't need to accelerate this. It is already accelerating on its own. Here is something that becomes unmistakably clear when you step back far enough. Everything they have done, every story told, every rumor seeded, every attempt to control how you are perceived is not a display of power. It is an expression of fear. Confident people do not need to manage other people's reputations. People secure in themselves do not dedicate sustained energy to what someone else is doing or becoming. The behavior directed at you is not the behavior of someone who has won. It is the behavior of someone terrified of what happens if they don't keep running. Terrified of what? The fear of being exposed for something they have done. The fear of losing the standing they have built in part on narratives about you. The fear that if you are allowed to simply exist, openly and fully, something about their own story begins to fall apart. In every case, the fear is about them. You are not the threat. Your existence is simply the thing that makes the threat undeniable, and fear makes a person readable. The over-explaining, the urgency, the disproportionate energy, the inability to let any development sit without immediately responding to it. These are not signs of control. They are signals of someone who has lost it. People sense fear even when they cannot name it. And when they sense it, the instinct is not to follow, it is to distance. There is a specific kind of social theater that reveals itself most clearly under pressure. What psychologists call compensatory dominance. It looks like confidence. It presents like authority, but its signature is unmistakable. It always overreaches. It is always slightly too much. The volume is turned up just past the point where genuine confidence lives, because genuine confidence doesn't need volume. It simply occupies space. Watch how they behave in environments where you are in some way present, whether physically or in the conversation. The way their energy shifts, the way their language becomes more declarative, more certain, more invested in establishing a particular impression. This is the behavioral signature of someone performing for an audience. Specifically, the one they believe is connected to you. The irony of performance is that its very nature undermines its goal. When a person's behavior in a situation is visibly different from their baseline, when they are clearly shaping a response, rather than simply responding, observers register the gap. What they conclude, subconsciously and accurately, is that this person is afraid. Afraid that without the performance, the real thing wouldn't hold up. Afraid that somewhere, somehow, the truth is gaining ground. What they are displaying is not power. It is the desperate rehearsal of someone who knows, on some level, that the curtain is about to come down. One of the most underestimated consequences of sustained obsession is what it does to the relationships of the person experiencing it. The people closest to them began this journey as potential allies. They heard the first stories. They offered sympathy. They participated in the early rounds of the narrative. But relationships are dynamic, and the people in them are perceptive. Over time, something shifts when one person is perpetually consumed by something outside of themselves. It becomes exhausting to be close to someone who cannot move on, who circles back to the same topic, who measures every social development against how it relates to their ongoing situation. Friendship, at its best, is a place of mutual presence. When one person's presence is always elsewhere, always occupied by the person they have made into an obsession, the friendship hollows out. The other person begins to feel like a supporting character in someone else's drama. They may not say anything. They may continue showing up, but they invest less, trust less. This is happening right now, in relationships they depend on, in ways they cannot see, because obsession produces tunnel vision. They are watching for your moves while missing the slow withdrawal of the people standing right next to them. When the moment of real need comes, they will discover that the well is shallower than they thought. This is the point I want you to hear most clearly. Not because it is the most dramatic, but because it is the most important. You, your continued existence, your continued development, your continued presence in the world, are the most powerful evidence available against every narrative they have tried to build. Not because of anything you have said, not because of any defense you have mounted, but because you are still here, still building, still becoming, still, quietly, undeniably, yourself. The stories they have told about you have a shelf life. They require your cooperation to survive. They need you to collapse, to self-destruct, to confirm through your behavior the portrait they have been painting. And when that doesn't happen, when months pass and you are still standing, still present, still a person of observable character, the portrait begins to peel from the wall on its own. Think about what it means to the people around you both, when they observe your actual life against the story they were told. When the person who was supposed to be falling apart is, in fact, evolving. When the person who was supposed to be discredited is, in fact, increasingly respected. Not because they campaigned for it, but because they simply kept showing up with character. Your presence is the rebuttal. Your life is the evidence. Your continued growth is the argument they cannot counter because they cannot control it. There is a threshold in the arc of prolonged targeted behavior where the behavior itself becomes the story, where the content of what they have been saying matters less than the fact that they are still saying it. And once that threshold is crossed, everything that follows, no matter how carefully crafted, operates in a completely different light. They crossed that threshold, possibly some time ago. The pattern is the evidence now. Not any single statement, not any specific accusation, but the sustained, consistent, relentless pattern of attention directed at one person over an extended period. Observers who once engaged with the details, who wondered whether a particular claim was true, have gradually stopped asking those questions. A new question has replaced them. Why is this still happening? That question, once it takes root in someone's mind, changes the entire frame. The answer that makes the most sense is never flattering to them. It points toward fixation, toward a psychological state where the normal signals that tell most people when to disengage have stopped functioning normally. And fixation, at this scale, is not something people respect. They hold it with careful distance. The way you hold something you are not sure is safe to touch. A blanket skepticism settles in. A permanent shift in the weight they assign to everything that person says. Every new thing they say about you is now read through that lens, and that lens does not flatter them at all. I want you to really sit with what I am about to say. The version of you that they constructed, the small, controllable, diminishable version, was never real. It was a reflection of their own fear, projected outward, dressed in your name, built with features that said more about their insecurities than your character. They needed that version of you to exist in order for something in their own self-narrative to survive. Because if you are, in fact, who you actually are, someone of genuine substance and depth, then certain stories they have been telling themselves about themselves begin to fall apart. And that is exactly what is happening. Not because you have done anything, but because the truth about you, the one that exists in real life, in the real observations of people who encounter you both, keeps refusing to fit the shape of their story. Every time they tighten the narrative, reality bends it back. Every time they add a wall to the cage, you simply walk around it, not out of strategy, but because you were never inside it to begin with. And that persistent, undeniable, unkillable reality of who you actually are is breaking something in them. Not cruelly, not with celebration, but with the simple and inevitable force of what happens when a constructed reality meets an unconstructed one. They are not sleeping the way they used to. The emotional ground beneath their certainty has been quietly shifting for some time now, destabilized by the one thing they cannot control, which is you continuing to exist exactly as you are. Stand still, stay true, let the unraveling continue at its own pace. You are already untouchable, not because of anything you have fought for, but because of what you have always been, and what their most determined efforts have proven they cannot change. Let me bring this full circle. Over the course of these 14 truths, one pattern has emerged with unmistakable clarity. Every action taken against you has doubled as a self-portrait. Every lie has revealed the liar. Every attempt at control has documented instability. Every performance of dominance has exposed the fear beneath it. Every obsessive push has generated sympathy that flows in the wrong direction. For them, this is not a situation that required your intervention. It required your endurance. and you are still here, which means you are already on the other side of the hardest part. What remains is this: continue to be the person you have always been, not a hardened version, not a defended version, not a version shaped by what has been done to you. The original, full, uncompromised version, because that is the one they cannot argue with, cannot diminish, cannot contain. The one that, simply by existing, renders everything they have constructed irrelevant. Their obsession has been a mirror. Their lies have been testimony. Their unraveling has been the verdict. And through all of it, through every attempt, every strategy, every moment of sustained pressure, you have remained the one thing this entire campaign was designed to prevent: untouchable, present, real. That is who you are. That is who you have always been. And no amount of engineered narrative can change a fact that was never theirs to touch. Remember that, carry it quietly, and live accordingly. If these words reached you somewhere real, if they named something you have been living but couldn't articulate, or gave shape to something you sensed but couldn't yet see clearly, I want you to do something right now. Hit subscribe. Not just so you don't miss the next video, but because what is built here is built for people exactly like you. People navigating hard things with quiet dignity. People who deserve to understand not just what is happening to them, but why, and what it means, and what to do with it. Hit like if any of this opened a window in your thinking. That small action tells the algorithm that this kind of content matters, and it puts this video in front of someone else who needs it right now. Tonight, in a moment, you and I will never know about, but that matters more than either of us can calculate. And now, the comment I most want from you. Don't write great video, write something real. Tell me, which one of these 14 points hit closest to home for you? Was it the point about silence being your most powerful strategy? The moment I said the jury has already deliberated, it just hasn't announced itself yet. The realization that their obsession is quietly eroding their own identity in the eyes of everyone around them. And you recognize someone you know in that description. Whatever it is, write it below. One line, one paragraph.
Chosen one, listen closely, because you are not here by accident, and you are not hearing this by random chance. This moment has fingerprints on it. God has led you here on purpose, because right now you are standing at the crossroads of your breakthrough. The place where your next season begins, the place where what you've carried for so long is about to shift. God is saying, put this under your pillow now. No excuses. You must do this. Do not delay. Do not question. Just do it. There are crossroads in life where the path behind you is familiar, even if it hurt. The path ahead is unknown, even if it's full of promise. Many people freeze at that point because the future requires faith. But you are not being called to freeze. You are being called to move. And the reason this feels urgent is because it is. The reason your heart is beating a little faster is because your spirit recognizes what your mind is still trying to process. And the reason you can't ignore this is because God does not waste divine appointments. Scripture says, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." Proverbs 2:6. And today, he is giving you instruction that can unlock what you've been asking for, not by human effort alone, but by alignment, obedience, and a heart that dares to believe again. I'm going to speak plainly. What you have been praying for is not out of reach, the way it has felt. The money you've been needing, the stability you've been craving, the love you've been longing for, the healing you've been quietly begging for, the breakthrough you thought might never arrive. It is closer than you think. And God is saying that before you see it fully with your eyes, you must respond with your faith, because heaven moves when faith moves. Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Mark 11:24. That is not poetry. That is power, and power demands a response. Now, before we step into this message, pause and do three things, because this is a moment of agreement and intention, and I want you fully engaged, not half listening while your mind drifts. First, hit the like button so this message can reach the person who is trembling in silence and needs it as much as you do. Second, subscribe so we can keep building a community that isn't ashamed of faith and isn't afraid of truth. We're moving toward 40,000 subscribers, and your action helps carry this word farther than your own screen. Third, leave a comment with the number 99, not because numbers are magic, but because action is a signal. And when you respond, you're not just watching, you're participating. You're saying, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm receiving. And if you are truly chosen, you will stay to the end, because something in you already knows this was meant for you, and you don't want to miss the part where everything clicks. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." John 10:27. If you can hear this, you are being called to follow, not to hesitate. Listen, God is sending you an urgent message, and it is not meant to scare you, it is meant to awaken you. This is not simply another day in your timeline. It is a window, a divine opening, a moment where things that have been stuck can begin to move. You've had seasons where it felt like you were pushing and pushing, and nothing was changing, like you were climbing and climbing, and the top kept shifting farther away, like you were praying and praying, and the answer kept getting delayed. That frustration is real, and God is not offended by your exhaustion. He knows your internal battles, the ones nobody claps for, the ones you endure quietly. He knows the weight of financial pressure, the sting of betrayal, the loneliness that comes when people don't understand what you're carrying. He knows how heartbreak can make you doubt your own worth, and how disappointment can make you afraid to hope again. Scripture says, "The Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth." Psalm 145, verse 18. You are not calling into a void. You are calling into a God who is near. And today, God is offering you a key, not a complicated ritual, not a heavy burden, but a simple act of faith that becomes a doorway. No more delay. No more waiting for the right time while your life passes you by. Your moment is now, and the reason it feels like everything is intensifying is because the enemy always gets loud when a door is about to open. But you are not a victim of spiritual noise. You are a child of God, and God is ready to lift you from struggle into strength, from lack into provision, from confusion into clarity. When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. Isaiah 60:22. That verse is for people who have been waiting and wondering if heaven forgot the date. Heaven did not forget. So hear the call. The doors that were closed are beginning to open wide. Are you ready to walk through them? Are you ready to stop living like you're cursed and start living like you're called? This is not about pretending life is easy. This is about refusing to let hardship define your ending. God sees the hurt, the disappointment, the unfulfilled desires that have weighed you down. You have asked, will it ever get better? You have whispered, am I being punished? You have wondered, did I miss my chance? And God answers you today. You are not too late, you are not disqualified, and you are not forgotten. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. New does not feel familiar. New feels like risk. But new is where your breakthrough lives. Now let's talk about the instruction God is placing in your hands. It's simple, but it is sacred. It is a tangible step that turns your faith from a thought into an action. Because there is a special power released when you respond quickly to divine direction, not because God needs your effort, but because your obedience positions you. Be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. James 1:22. Many people listen and feel inspired, and then do nothing, but chosen ones move. Chosen ones act. Here is what you will do. Take a clean sheet of paper and a pen. Sit somewhere quiet, even if it's for 5 minutes, and write down your desires with intention, not wishy-washy, not vague. Write what you need God to change, provide, heal, and restore. Be honest, be specific, be bold. Write about money if money has been tight. Write about love if your heart has been bruised. Write about opportunities if doors have stayed closed. Write about your family if relationships have been strained. Write about your health if your body has carried pain. Write the dream you stopped speaking because you got tired of being disappointed. Put it on paper. Your desires are not shameful. When they're placed before God, they become prayer. Then turn the paper over and write 1111 on the back. This is not about superstition, and it is not about worshipping a number. It is an intentional marker, a sign to your own spirit that you are aligning your focus, that you are stepping into agreement with the idea that God can open what humans cannot open and provide what your hands alone cannot produce. The Bible is full of reminders that God brings order out of chaos, timing out of confusion, and direction out of uncertainty. Let all things be done decently and in order. 1 Corinthians 14:40. You are ordering your desire. You are clarifying your request. You are giving your faith a shape. After you've written it, place that paper under your pillow. This is the part many people will dismiss because it looks too simple. But do not underestimate small acts done with deep faith. Scripture says, "Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin." Zechariah 4:10. When you place that paper under your pillow, you're making a symbolic surrender. You are saying, "God, even as I sleep, I trust you. Even when I'm not working, I believe you're working. Even when my eyes are closed, I believe you are watching over my life." Now here is the next step. At 3 a.m. you pray. You set an alarm if you need to, not because God only hears at 1 hour, but because discipline strengthens devotion, and the stillness of that hour strips away distractions. When the world is quiet, your soul can speak. When the noise fades, you can hear God more clearly. Jesus himself modeled a life of seeking God in solitude. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up and prayed. Mark 1:35. If the Son of God valued quiet hours with the Father, do not treat them like nothing. At 3 a.m. you pray over what you wrote. You speak to God plainly, not with performance, not with fancy phrases, not with fear. You talk to him like a child who trusts their father. You confess your need, but you also declare your faith. You thank him before you see it, because thanksgiving is an act of belief. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God. Philippians 4:6. That verse is a weapon against fear. Pray like fear is not your master. And as you do this, something begins to shift. Maybe not with fireworks, maybe not with instant results, but with alignment, with clarity, with a new kind of strength that rises inside you. God begins to turn pain into purpose. The tears you cried in secret were not wasted. The nights you thought you were alone were not empty. The betrayals that made you bitter can become the very place where God grows your wisdom. The disappointments that tried to kill your hope can become the doorway to a stronger faith than you've ever had. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 35. Your night has been long, but morning is not a myth, it's a promise. Now, let's speak directly to the people who have been hurt by others, because part of this message is about justice, and I need you to hear it correctly. When people wrong you, when they betray you, when they lie on you, when they use you, and then discard you, something in you wants to fight back, to prove a point, to make them feel what you felt. But God is saying, you do not have to carry that burden. You do not have to be consumed by revenge. You do not have to poison your own spirit just to watch someone else suffer. God is a God of justice, and He sees what you cannot prove. The Lord loves righteousness and justice. Psalm 33:5. He does not miss a single detail. He does not overlook a single wound. Divine justice is not always loud, but it is always exact. Sometimes God changes the offender. Sometimes He exposes the truth. Sometimes He removes the person from your path. Sometimes He humbles them in ways you never have to touch. Sometimes He restores you so publicly that the ones who mocked you can't deny it. And when God restores you, you will not need to brag, because your life will speak. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you shall refute every tongue that rises against you in judgment. Isaiah 54:17. The tongues will fall, the lies will collapse, the shame will lift. Now, let's talk about what you truly desire, because for many of you, it's not just money, and it's not just romance, it's wholeness. You want stability, you want peace, you want love that doesn't wound you, you want a home that feels safe, you want freedom from the constant worry of bills. You want to stop feeling like you're always one emergency away from disaster. God is not indifferent to these desires. He cares about your whole life, not just your church life. He cares about your heart, your mind, your relationships, your future. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. James 1:17. God is not the author of chaos. He is the giver of good gifts. So when you write your desires, do not censor yourself out of fear. Do not write small prayers because you've been disappointed before. God is not limited by your past. God is not intimidated by your need. God is not confused by your dreams. Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. Ephesians 3:20. The words, more than you can imagine, should hit you in the chest, because your imagination has been shaped by pain. And God is saying your future will be shaped by His power. This is why action matters. You have been given clear steps: write, mark, place, pray. And the reason these steps are powerful is because they require something many people refuse to give: commitment. You are not just thinking about change, you are participating in it. You are making your faith tangible. You are declaring, I will not live on autopilot anymore. I will not let life happen to me without direction. I'm responding to God. Now hear this. The universe responds to alignment, but God responds to faith. When you take a step in faith, heaven takes it seriously. Without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Hebrews 11:6. You are not seeking in vain. You are not praying into emptiness. God rewards earnest seekers, not because he's bribed by effort, but because he honors trust. And yes, you will notice changes, because the first day after you do this is not a normal day. It becomes a marker, it becomes a spark, it becomes the start of movement. You may wake up and feel a shift in your atmosphere, like your room feels the same, but your spirit feels different. You may feel a strange calm. You may feel motivation returning. You may feel less afraid. You may find yourself thinking clearer. These are not just moods. This is what happens when fear loosens its grip and faith begins to take its place. You might receive a message from someone you haven't heard from in a long time. You might get an unexpected invitation. You might stumble into information that answers a question you've been asking. You might feel drawn to apply for something, start something, reach out to someone, or finally let go of something you've been clinging to out of habit. That's how God moves sometimes, not only through miracles you can point at, but through direction that lights up your next step. And some of you will see something even stronger. The people who hurt you may begin to change their posture. Some will come back with apology. Some will try to repair what they broke. Some will reveal their true nature, and God will use that revelation to free you. You will stop carrying questions. You will stop blaming yourself. You will stop wondering if you were the problem. Truth will rise. Your heart will breathe again. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Financial doors can begin to open too, and often they open in unexpected ways. A new opportunity, a connection, a client, a job shift, a new skill, a favor you didn't ask for, an idea you can't ignore. Do not despise the small beginnings. A stream starts as a trickle. A harvest starts as a seed. Your breakthrough can start with one email, one phone call, one conversation, one decision. Commit your work to the Lord, and your plans will be established. Proverbs 16:3. Establishment is what many of you have been craving. Stability, structure, consistency. God can establish you. But let me say this carefully. Do not turn this into a mechanical formula where you think paper plus numbers equals instant riches. That's not faith. That's control wearing religious clothing. This is not about controlling outcomes. This is about positioning your heart. This is about practicing obedience. This is about entering agreement with God's ability and God's timing while still taking responsibility for your steps. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. Straight paths are what God promises when you trust him. Not perfect paths, not painless paths. Straight ones, clear ones, guided ones. Now, I want to speak to the ones who have been criticized, mocked, underestimated, talked about, doubted, and even laughed at for dreaming too big or believing too hard. You have felt the weight of other people's judgment. You have tried to be quiet so you wouldn't attract negativity. You have shrunk your light so others wouldn't feel threatened. You have carried shame that was never yours to carry, and God says, enough. Your life is not going to remain hidden. Your fruit will speak. Your favor will show. Your peace will be visible. Not because you're trying to prove people wrong, but because God is about to prove himself faithful in your life. The Lord will vindicate me. Psalm 138, verse 8. Vindication does not require your argument. It requires God's hand. When God lifts you, the same people who doubted you will have to watch you walk in what they said you'd never have. And when they watch, you must not become proud. You must not become bitter. You must not become cruel. Your victory is meant to mature you, not harden you. God's justice is meant to heal, not poison. Blessing is meant to build, not corrupt. Remember, whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Matthew 23:12. Stay humble and you will rise safely. The number 1111 in this message is like a reminder stone you place on your journey, a marker that says, I am aligned, I am awake, I am moving with intention. When you see alignment in your life, do not panic. When you see doors begin to open, do not sabotage yourself. When you see peace returning, do not run back to chaos because it feels familiar. When you feel God drawing you forward, go. If God is for us, who can be against us? Romans 8:31. That verse is not a slogan. It is an anchor. Now let's return to 3 a.m. because some of you will resist that part the most. You'll say you're tired. You'll say your schedule is heavy. You'll say you'll do it later. But later has stolen too much from you already. Later has kept you trapped in the same cycles. Later has kept you waiting for change while you repeat the same patterns. This is a call to discipline, and discipline is not punishment. It is training for your future. Discipline yourselves for the purpose of godliness. 1 Timothy 4:7. You are training your spirit to lead your life, not your emotions. When you pray at that hour, you are telling God, I'm serious. You are stepping out of casual faith and into committed faith. And committed faith changes a person. It changes how you speak. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you pursue. It changes what you believe is possible. It changes your posture. It changes your decisions. And decisions are where destinies turn. So, here is what you can expect on the first day. You will begin to notice a shift that feels subtle but real. You may not see the entire answer immediately, but you will sense movement. Hope will flicker again. Strength will return. Clarity will grow. You might feel led to take an action you've been postponing. You might suddenly know what to cut off, what to start, what to fix, what to pursue. That is God guiding you. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Proverbs 3:6. When God directs your path, the path may still require effort, but it will no longer be aimless. As days pass, the signs can become stronger, people can shift, opportunities can appear, doors can open, healing can begin, and your heart will start to understand a truth you've struggled to believe. You were never meant to stay stuck. You were never meant to live your whole life in survival mode. You were never meant to crawl when God designed you to stand. Those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. Renewal is coming. Strength is coming. Wings are coming. The ability to rise above what once held you down is coming. I want you to understand something. Writing your desires is not just journaling, it is alignment. Placing them under your pillow is not superstition, it is surrender. Praying at 3 a.m. is not religious performance, it is devotion. And devotion is powerful because it produces intimacy with God, and intimacy with God produces confidence. When you know God is with you, you stop being afraid of what's against you. So do not delay, do not overthink, do not talk yourself out of obedience. Some of the biggest miracles begin with the smallest steps. Whoever is faithful in little is faithful also in much. Luke 16:10. Be faithful with the paper, be faithful with the prayer, be faithful with the step. Let God handle the much. Now, as we move toward the close of this message, I want to speak a final word over you. Your story is not ending in the chapter of pain. The struggle you've been in is not the final identity of your life. Your tears have not been ignored. Your prayers have not been wasted. Your patience has not been pointless. God is not a man that he should lie, and what he promised, he can perform. The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it. 1 Thessalonians 5:24. That means the burden is not on you to force it. The burden is on you to follow. So tonight, or as soon as you can, take that paper, write your desires, put 1111 on the back, place it under your pillow, set your heart, set your alarm, pray at 3 a.m. Speak with faith, speak with gratitude, speak like a person who believes God is still God. And then watch your days begin to change, not only because circumstances shift, but because you shift. Your thinking shifts, your courage shifts, your expectations shift. And when you shift into alignment, you stop missing what God has been trying to place in your hands. Stay to the end of this journey, chosen one. Do not quit in the doorway. Do not turn back in the transition. Do not run from the very season you prayed for. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. Due season is real. Harvest is real. Reward is real. And the God who brought you here, the God who kept you through what should have broken you, the God who held you when nobody saw, the God who fed you when you thought you would collapse, that same God is still writing your story, and what comes next will not look like your past. Now receive this with reverence and move with faith, because the waiting is breaking, the door is opening, and your new season is not a rumor, it is arriving. If this message is landing in your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs strength today. And if you want to leave a sign of agreement in the comments, type Amen or even 99 as a marker that you're choosing faith over fear, alignment over anxiety, purpose over the past. Not as superstition, but as a simple act of unity, a way of saying, God, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm ready.